welcome to our first episode of Mindful Global Sales podcast that is organized by me, global business coach Julija, international business expert with more than 20 years experience working across markets and cultures. And I'm here to share the wisdom, to empower, to inspire international global leaders for amazing results, achieving their goals with mindful approach and right mindset. And here we are with the amazing guest, Thomas. And of course, Thomas is, first of all, amazing personality. And this is why you're here. I love collecting personalities around me with, first of all, message, purpose, with vision, and of course, a lot of knowledge, a lot of expertise, and love towards what you are doing. So, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, Thomas. Tell me, how do you feel today? How is it with podcasting in general? Is it new for you?
Broadcasting was new.
Yeah?
Yes.
Super.
When used to cameras and all that.
Yeah. And I've met you first time in the training. It was called effective or efficient leadership and networking and communication. And I was surprised by the warmth that you share with people. Like from the first glance, I felt like you love the audience, you love the people working with you, and that's probably what is the sense why we are here, why we are as coaches, trainers, consultants, trying to deliver the message, why we are doing that. So what is something that answers to your question, why you are doing what you are doing?
The networking event was one area of communication. It's not the central part, but it's like one area of communication, which is interesting, where it can be useful.
Mm-hmm.
When you ask why,
Yeah.
the central theme I'm interested in is leadership communication, and it's team leadership communication. And I'm 5 questions deep in where a few subtopics meet. One is leadership, one is teams, one is communication, one is mindfulness, one is strategy, one is authenticity.
Yeah.
So where these topics meet, this is where I kind of deep and have some wisdom, because this is there are people who are better in communication, some are better in leadership, some are better in teams, or many even. Where these topics meet, that's kind of where I'm with it.
Yeah.
What's close to my heart to contribute is, even though it's about communication, the main part is about communication, being effective in communication, effective in leadership. But the main part is really about what is a human being. That's kind of an important part. It's easily missed. And something I want to get across is, when you're in a leadership position, people are not chess pieces. People are chess players.
Yeah.
There's this additional thing. There's some sovereign individual, no matter how low in the organization, who's actually a decision maker in that human being. And you need to recognize it. And in a leadership position, sometimes you have a feeling that you don't have time to do that.
Yeah.
That you don't have time to kind of see the person. But when you learn to do it and take your time, you are actually also more effective.
Mm-hmm.
The reason you do not take the time, you have a feeling you're not effective. You don't have the time. You need to kind of push people around in a certain sense. Especially in emergency, it happens easily. So you override people's decision making. You don't have a dialogue where you just, chop, get it done, And it's legitimate in certain situations, but it's not legitimate as a standard operating basis to constantly override people's own sense making.
Yeah.
And push them around like dogs, And I'm not judging anyone, including leaders, and I had done the same mistakes, and especially under stress.
Yeah.
I also found out that there's a way how to handle that and make decisions that are better and actually also more effective, because then you don't use people, but you work with people
Yeah.
And that is very important if you want to create a longer lasting effect. And if you want to create mental health for yourself and for others, and I don't know if I'm talking too much here, but this is really close to my heart, that particulars see people, see individuals.
Yeah. That sounds really, really important towards anyone. Is it leader or person living this life when he needs to interact with the world? He needs to achieve certain goals. He needs to come and deliver the message, and he wants to be heard and understood, right? In any type of activity. But if we imagine you in 3-5 years, like
Can I
Yeah.
just add something? It's not just that the person wants.
Yeah.
Not just that the person wants. This is an important point. But this is what is right for what a human being is supposed to be. There's slight distinctions. It's not just about accommodating somebody. Okay, you have your say also, and we hear it. No, there is actually somebody who is his own decision maker. And if you learn to respect that and learn to communicate in that way, you get you get access to their intrinsic motivation.
Absolutely.
So you can see this like in a little bit of a manipulative way, but you can also see it's not intended that way.
Yeah.
This is what a human being is supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's not just you have your say also like a child. I just had to say this.
Yeah, it is very much about this empathical approach towards everything you're doing, right? And that's why I see working globally, working across cultures, that's the thing number one. Are you ready to learn about others, other values, about other, let's say, important decision criteria? Because everyone decides on what they supposed to do. They have like a code, internal code. And yes, it is about empathy number one, right? If I'm right, like that's what I imagine, that whatever communication, it's about trust. And trust is about being empathical. It's about learning where you are now, where you want to be, and what is something that blocks you to get where you want to get. And if I want to establish trust with you, I need to understand more about where you are now, where you want to be, and what is something that makes you feel uncomfortable probably, or comfortable, in order to get to the next, let's say, level. And this is how I will also pay attention to credibility. If I'm credible in what I'm doing, in what I'm telling, and reliable. Am I reliable in all aspects? Right? If my promises are fulfilled, if my statements are telling the truth, and in not only in words but also in my thoughts and my actions. So that's how I would maybe define it. Like what you say, human being is a person in terms of communication, the one who needs to interact, he needs to build trust with you, and you build it on this focus, orientation on the human being. That's right. That's how you also see it, or where people struggle, why people don't understand each other, why they speak same language but they don't understand each other.
Wow, that's I'm wondering over this for ages, and then this is why I got into the whole topic about leadership communication. Sometimes when you get so deep into a topic like I do, and it's like a never-ending joy. You just go there, you find new puzzle pieces, and it's kind of it's like a big exploration is this area. A little bit like I have a telescope out, and it's just a small part of the whole universe out there. But you really dig into this, and this is my area. Anyway, to make it short. You wonder sometimes how somebody is so interested in a particular area. And then, of course, you tell a story to yourself. And I think I know, but I don't know how much is a delayed rationalization, why I'm so interested in this. But one of the things that came to mind once in a coaching session that I received as a coachee, and I was just thinking, why am I so interested in this topic? And it actually went back to when I was 10 or 11 years old, and I grew up in an entrepreneurial family, trucking, business, logistics.
Yeah.
Looking down from the balcony, big car park, 70 diesel trucks, starting up in the winter, black clouds and everything. And
Yeah.
I just remember this. And 70 truck drivers from Southern Europe, me, small kid, introvert, looking around, not shy, but kind of introvert looking. So I became their mascot. They adopted me, and then they taught me everything about life. 70 rough kind of truck drivers. It was just a great time. So, and I listened to their complaints and everything about management, which was basically my family. And at the dinner table, I sat with my family, and they complained about the truck drivers.
Yeah.
And I just noticed that, I just listened. It was kind of weird. They talked to me, and I was listening, and of course nobody listened to me. I was too small, and then suddenly I noticed there's something weird. I noticed at that age already. And the weird thing was they very often agreed, and I didn't notice.
Yeah.
What is this? They actually agree.
Yeah.
What are they yapping about?
Yeah. And still a lot of noise around, unnecessary noise.
A lot of noise. So it seemed to me that there is some kind of a ritual to disagree.
Yeah.
Which just need to disagree, And then later in my own management life, I noticed it, and it irritated the hell out of me. When I was in a meeting, I tried to explain something, and somebody, yes, but, and kind of finding a hair in the soup while you were brainstorming,
Yeah.
So that was one of the challenges I had to get through in a leadership position.
Yeah.
And after a while, I understood what they were doing. But that was like a horrible process. Anyway, the point was, at young age, I found it a little bit heartbreaking almost, I found it out in a coaching session, that people were fighting each other for no good reason.
Yeah. Exactly.
All.
Just because of the process. I mean, sometimes
I'm not saying it's wrong to disagree.
it's wrong. It's actually a way of communication as well. It's like language of, different languages of love. Same.
If it takes over, it becomes compulsive.
And it's the same with agreeing. It can also become compulsive. You overextend it. Everybody agrees because we need harmony, and you're just going totally off the
road. Yeah.
So, and I just noticed this. So, and it kind of, this awareness kind of hang with me. And then sometimes at 45, midlife crisis, and I went into the coaching business for many good reasons. And I think rationalization, I think my interest is at least partially related to this experience I had at that time.
Yeah. How to make people understand and agree on terms that make happy both of them, not really.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like the word when people try to find consensus. It's somehow good to find a consensus, but I don't like the way when communication is just one direction.
Yeah.
So you say, I will find consensus for the sake of you being happy, or you as a leader, since you are higher in a position, or you as a client, I would like to find a better solution for you. I don't think this is sustainable. That's why our communication should be what? Transparent, clear, targeted. What else? Empathical, understanding where you want to be, what I want, what you want, and where our interests can meet and deliver positive outcome for both. Then nobody is suffering, nobody is also feeling betrayed, because I also believe in energies. When as soon as you start talking with the person and you feel that your interests are somehow not taken into consideration, or things are not working in the way that you hear each other, but you want to get only the best possible for one direction, you steal the energy of the others. You steal the motivation to continue even. That's why I really support this trusted relationships concept, that relationships and communication should be made of transparency, credibility, as I said, and reliability, being who you are, authentic, mindful, both of you are, and who is your counterpart. What are the values behind what he decides, what he wants, what he doesn't want, right? What he wants to avoid. When we speak from the sales perspective, like value proposition, which sounds very formal, but it is about mindfulness. I always tell that, guys, look into the market, look into the product that you are selling. Are you fulfilling expectations, needs, fears of these people? Do you know much deeper than just, let's say, level of consumption, but deeper philosophy behind what you are offering? Are you meeting all these expectations in the fact that you really understand the way he thinks, she thinks, and the other side of your proposal, and what makes them feel comfortable, uncomfortable to decide? And that's about mindfulness, as you say, authenticity, empathy towards what you are doing, what you're delivering as a message. And true. The process of agreement and disagreement, I think that's also part of process. It should happen. Sometimes disagreement leads to agreement. Like, we can take any example of signing a contract with someone who you don't believe you will ever end with contract, but by disagreement, by going through all the stages of uncertainties, you end up trusting each other better. Why?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's not always like a path of covered with flowers and unicorns. The process of understanding each other is process of learning about each other, taking mistakes as opportunities, learning from every single failure as again success story. And that's about understanding and communicating as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Well understood in this context of disagreeing or not disagreeing, consensus and all that, there is when you have conversations, you need to frame them first.
Yeah.
Before you have the conversation. And there's a time for disagreeing and there's a time for just shutting up and let the other person talk.
Yeah.
Because if you disagree too early, the person cannot develop the idea.
Yeah.
Every idea is a little bit like a pregnancy. But it needs this time until it's viable. And if somebody's saying, it's just too early.
That's true.
So essentially, in whatever meeting you are, you need to give a format. And one of the formats can be, now we're brainstorming. And it's not about disagreeing.
No.
Because it's not done yet. It just still needs to develop. Yeah. And then there's a time when you get in the implementation and execution, you can get nitpicky. You can look, what does it look here and here? And you need people with different perspectives and maybe violently disagree and
yeah.
But the disagreement comes about usually because of different perspectives. That's one thing. And the second one is you can have fruitful discussions or disagreements only if you have a common goal.
Yeah.
If you don't have a common goal, it's just a mess.
Absolutely. So agreement about the goal, around the goal is basically
exactly. Or at least have an agreement. We don't have an agreement on the goal. And you can have a debate about that. What should the goal be? But so the point was, you just like in coaching, in formal coaching, you create a contract of what is going to happen, a format, a meta kind of a format in which the content can come to fruition.
Yeah.
The problem is we are often sloppy with the contracting. So that means you could have a meeting, you have a brainstorm. Let's say you have a coordination meeting very fast. Okay, how far are you? 80%. Okay, very good. Yeah, continue. Not good. Need to continue. Somebody comes in, does understand this is a coordination meeting and says, listen, guys, I have a vision. And everybody thinks, can you just shut up and sit down? Because wrong format.
Wrong format. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with them. Nothing wrong with the idea. It's just wrong format.
Just wrong format. Yeah.
So this is a way how to sort it out. I didn't know that when I was an executive. I said, I had this grand idea, and I said, back then, or I did the same mistake myself with others. Okay. So this there's nothing wrong. There's disagreeing is good, agreeing is good, consensus is good, non-consent it's all good.
Yeah.
The point is it agreed upon and suitable to the particular situation? That is the point. And you can do anything.
And the goal is achieved. That's the most important.
Yeah.
Right? Because in the process of building some kind of process of communication, as we said, we need a goal and we need a framework. Why and what? For what is this? What is the purpose of this communication? Like I work a lot across cultural groups and teams, and the first thing which we need to agree upon always is the way of communication, frequency of communication, methods, channels, because I fully understand that the way communication goes with Scandinavian representative or the Baltic or Indian or Eastern European, I know all the peculiarities of their specific way, how they perceive information, what type of relationship building aspect I have to infuse in communication. But the first thing, I need to set up a framework, clear framework, how we measure success, how we measure successful communication in our organization. The bigger it is, the more complex is the process, of course, because especially if you work with achievers, those who want to show themselves off like salespeople, right? They need to show them. Everybody wants to express themselves the way they like, and at the same time we need to respect each other. At the same time we need to find a common solutions, and we need to go for actions and results. So real efficient communication is the first task. Understanding who we are, why we are so different, that's important. At the same time, the framework and the structure, like roadmap. Yes, I understand that in certain ways, my, let's say, email might be adjusted to my colleague in India, with more, let's say, empathical approach towards what they know, what they don't know. I need to be clear about timelines. I need to be clear about tasks. I need to be clear about the fact that they are collective thinkers, so they really care about what collective is thinking about them, which means that losing face in front of the team will not work. I need to show the full respect, as well as show them this safe and create for them this safe environment, so that they can communicate effectively with each other and be confident in what they're doing, what they're telling each other, and expressing. And yes, that's why I truly believe that leadership needs effective communication skills from the very first day, learning cultures, learning people, their people codes, I would say. So tell me, what is the first example where you had the most challenging client in terms of the leadership style, communication style, how people interact with each other, what kind of challenges they were facing, and how did you crack this? I know you have an amazing stories.
I'm just thinking, how can I tell it without talking about the customer?
No, don't tell the name. X company.
Swedish company.
Yeah.
Daughter company in Berlin.
Mm-hmm.
CEO, Swe.
Mm-hmm.
Slightly consensus obsessed.
Mm-hmm.
But not only that. Essentially, he created a mutiny among his immediate subordinates.
Yeah.
Because whenever they had come to a conclusion, he had the tendency to ask at the end, and take the conclusion and discuss it again.
Yeah.
And then he had the idea that this is democratic.
Okay. Yeah.
And this happened 3 or 4 times. New CEO, 3, and the Germans just we're discussing what do you want? Just tell us what you want. And he was surprised why he got this reaction, because he thought this is a sign of respect, to discuss it again. It just got irritated,
Yeah.
So this is where I came in.
Yeah.
I had him on an open training course, and this topic was touched on, and it made a difference, and it didn't have to be fired.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was like a serious mutiny
Yeah.
when these two things clashed.
Clashed. Yeah.
Like a Swedish management team would have said, "Yeah, thank you that's fine, we're done, we can go."
Yeah.
And the Germans said, what is he doing?
Yeah.
So that is just
Yeah.
one example. From outside, it just looks funny. When you're in it, it's actually quite some emotion in it.
Yeah.
It is. So there's quite some intensity, and he's disappointed, and the people in Sweden didn't understand. Or we made a recruitment mistake, and it was not very difficult to solve. What he needed to learn is he's actually managing attention.
Yeah.
That's what he needed to do. And what he did is, whenever they had a conclusion, he threw in a bomb.
Yeah. Let them decide.
Yeah.
What to do
It
next.
just completely destroyed the sandcastle just had built that together by being democratic.
Democratic. Yes.
So that's one example.
Yeah. Good you mentioned the Swedish culture, because I would say this is my favorite one. When I speak about cultures, when I compare cultures for business owners, then Swedish culture is always the best example to compare with. So let's say if I take Eastern European collectivistic markets, masculine cultures, I talk about, here, you need to build relationships. The cycle takes some time, and this based on trust, of course, and I explain why and how, who takes responsibility, why decision making looks like this or that. So is it in Asia? You need to respect even more the traditions and rules, and the boss is the god, right? Same for India. If I speak about European, then I can give the flavor of Spanish or Italian and French styles. Since I've been living there and working there, I really can speak as if I am native.
Okay.
And I can explain them how I felt as being almost native there, and how it feels to transform internally from neutral Latvian into absolute Spanish, open-hearted, no deadlines, no rules, relationship-oriented personality. And when I speak on behalf of Swedish or Scandinavian market, I say, now let's talk about things that are important for you. Why? Because everybody is very individual. Everybody cares about themselves most. So it's not very much about give me something that will help the company or give me something that will help us to grow. Yes, in big names, it would sound like this, like in the titles of the presentations, it would say we are here to help our organization. But in fact, everybody cares more about the individualistic goals, their own, let's say, values and needs. And those needs are and should be respected, because everybody is equal. Nobody is higher, bigger, stronger, wiser than anyone else, which means there is no responsibility. And that's the key thing, that when I speak about decision making in Sweden, I say, okay, there are no clear roles. Who is making decisions? That's why you have to put all your communication skills, all your attentiveness towards their goals, their needs. Be very soft in the manner of communication. Don't ask too much. Don't push too much. Don't be direct, of course, in what you're thinking and doing in terms of emotions as well. Do really test yourself as a communicator. When you want to communicate across the market, start with Sweden. That's how I always said. If you manage with Swedish people, you will manage with the rest of the world. That is my, let's say, learning from so many years. Because the way of empathic, the scale, this how you should be patient, how you should be careful about the other needs, It's all should be in a huge concentration done in Swedish market or Scandinavian market. And since you learn about this empathical approach towards the business here, you will be easily doing other markets where you can relax a little bit about caring about other needs that much and being so accurate in what you are saying and what you're thinking, but you more consider about the way you build relationships, the way you show your willingness to bring the value to the people. You like say, if we talk with Eastern Europeans, you will be respected there with your, of course, patience, at the same time with your open heart, with your easy and very pleasant communication, where you can be close to each other. Even you can learn more about your personal life with each other. You can chit chat more. You can spend more, let's say, informal type of activities and spend time together in order to feel this closeness. You need to understand what stays behind every word they're saying. You will feel it, you will enjoy the process while building relationships. So with Scandinavians, it's a little bit different. Take your time, make it concise, make it clear. At the same time, don't go too far.
Yeah, that approach can also be overextended. I agree, and there's a lot to learn from that culture. In general, it doesn't create unnecessary conflicts. Yeah. In general, but even that approach can be overextended, so it can drive people crazy. But that's true for any management style or leadership style. It can be overextended. It can become destructive.
But it's good to know the values, right? What's happening there before you, especially if you are a foreigner. And by the way, tell me about your cultural background, like so we know who you are from the cultural code and how you interact. What was, let's say, challenge for you to enter in our markets, in the Baltic market, for example, if we just compare?
Yeah. I grew up in Germany. Mm-hmm. In the environment I already mentioned, entrepreneurial family, so-called Gastarbeiters. I grew up with them. Mm-hmm. I left Germany when I was 18. I spent a few years in England and a few years in Sweden. Mm-hmm. And I think early adulthood, Sweden was more formative. Yeah. Over time. So I learned a lot. At the time, I did not appreciate the German culture. Mm-hmm. It was too much pressure, too much, too conformity demanding. Mm-hmm. I had a little trouble with dyslexia. Mm-hmm. I couldn't read a text without stumbling all the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It got so bad that there was a time where I had to analyze each letter, where there's the history of the letter. I don't know, my mind is a little weird, but I had to figure it out. What does this word mean? What is the history? What's the personality of that word? What does that letter mean? Say it's numbers, why does one look like a one, two like a two? I don't know. I needed to know this. And I remember my math teacher, when I asked him one of these questions, he just completely lost his mind and told me that I'm a subversive element and just threw me out of class for a day. And it's funny. Yeah. I didn't mean bad at all. Mm-hmm. But there was this a pressure of conformity, and it just actually made me sick almost in a sense. Yeah. Now that I'm old, I'm looking back at this, and I think I missed something because there's a lot of German in me, and I couldn't figure out how. Yeah. But it's the thoroughness. Yeah. If I want to figure out something, I'm extremely thorough and kind of drilling down to the center of the earth until I know where the crust looks like this. When I see a wave crest, in the ocean, I want to see what are the currents creating it. And this is. I figured I noticed late in my life that this is actually a very German kind of thing. Yeah. It even reflects in the language. Exactly. Now in English you have one word for reality. Yeah, that's reality. In German you have Realität and you have Wirklichkeit, and it's not translatable to English. It means, in a sense, you could translate it as workingness, the way how it's like the underlying stuff to the superficial reality, the wave crests. What are the currents underneath that create what you see right now? So I'm not surprised that, for example, particle physics had its main impulses in the German culture. It's not that strange. And the word Wirklichkeit was invented by a 1100th century German mystic somewhere.
Yeah.
And if you ask the average German what's the difference between Wirklichkeit and Realität, he wouldn't know what I'm talking about. What's the difference? But I just kind of had to get into this. So when I went to Sweden, what was really nice about it, there was no pressure. It was just totally relaxed. It was informal. Nobody had kind of a stick up his somewhere. And it was such a pleasure.
Yeah.
Appreciating the German culture came much later.
Yeah.
In a strange way. But when I was a kid,
Yeah. It felt like
it was, no, I need to get out of this. It was like
yeah. You see,
straight jacket.
that's interesting.
So I didn't appreciate it. Not everything was bad. I mean, I had a good time, no doubt.
Yeah.
But that was that. Then I got to learn the English culture a lot. Humor, eccentricity, inclusiveness to some degree, but also some kind of a weird deviousness and manipulative. I mean,
Yeah.
every culture has good and bad things.
Aspects. Yeah.
And what I learned in this, like getting to know these cultures, was that each culture has ethics codes. It has some kind of codes,
Yeah.
and they are not identical.
No.
So if I'm in one culture and I go to another one, maybe the culture is the same on 5 pieces, but not one.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then you run into
Like
trouble.
puzzle.
When you come into this new country, you run into trouble because you take this, you think it's the same ethics code, and then and then you need to relate to this new thing. It makes you thoughtful. And when it makes you thoughtful, it makes you get deeper into the other culture than you would even if you were native in that culture.
Yeah.
So
You need to, as I said, you need to somehow transform yourself from who you are by, of course, preserving your cultural identity is important. I will, wherever I live, wherever I work, wherever I present myself, I'm still Latvian in my code, but my adaptiveness, of course, my ability to listen, to hear and understand others helps me to observe culture, and after some time it becomes part of me. But that's my perception. I feel it easy. I enjoy the process of observing cultures. Same as language. I listen to language. I like 3 months I can speak like native. It really happens, click like this. And but it's not for everyone. So how would you advise to those people? Because I that's why my mission is to help others to become this way adaptive, also open and like growth mindset oriented, meaning that they see opposite cultures, they see opportunities there, they don't see, oh, they are different and that's why we will work less with them, or this is reason why I will not succeed because they are different. I say no. Intercultural competence starts with, I like the way you are, I enjoy your difference, and I will make maximum use out of this difference. Because if you are succeeding with your different, like with your cultural background, why I'm not succeeding? Because I'm not trying to be part of you here. I'm not trying to take these cultural signals as opportunities.
Yeah.
That's why I think we need to share. We need to help others.
There's a reason, a good reason why we don't see it as an opportunity. And we kind of maybe defensive of our ways. And one way how to get around one's own defensiveness, I found, is the following. So if I see a strange cultural phenomena, I think, well, what is this? I tell myself, okay, this behavior is call it an answer. to a question.
Yeah.
What is the question?
Yeah.
What problem does that solve for that culture or for that individual in that context? And then I need to look at the context. And then I see, that behavior, that ethics code, that is an answer to something.
Yeah.
Maybe there are better answers.
Mm-hmm.
You might think that. But when you look at it from this perspective and you find that there is actually a good intention in that answer, in that behavior, it is a response, good or bad is not the problem, but it's a response to a context, which then you find out very often, I would have had the same response in that context. Maybe slightly different. But when you do this, you generate genuine empathy. It's not like the kind of empathy where somebody is with an index finger, so you should be nicer to people, because it just makes you sick
There's
if you try to.
intention inside of you.
Yeah, you need true empathy is not just being obliging. True empathy is like you actually understand what's behind it.
Exactly.
So when you ask me what would you recommend, just you see something, look at it, what is that an answer to? And then not try to find an answer immediately.
Yeah.
Not like, it must be, just these superficial kind of explanations which just create more problems.
Exactly.
And then you just lean into that question to yourself. What is this answer? Or what is the question to that answer? Just lean into it and kind of take it in before you react.
Yeah.
And amazing what you kind of get while you sleep, when you kind of lean into that question and you get some insight. So that would be a recommendation.
Yeah. Be mindful again.
Exactly.
Be mindful of what you're thinking, what you're saying. But
in this context,
Yeah.
sorry, I just need to say, in this context, I discovered also the difference between thoughtful and mindful. Because when you're thoughtful, it's very good to be thoughtful, but you're still in your head. When you're mindful, you kind of lean in emotionally also. And there is a richness in the mindfulness.
yeah.
And if you combine it with thoughtfulness, then I think, just a guess, there's a lot of wisdom in this cross between thoughtful and mindful. We tend to be thoughtful only. It's good to be thoughtful. It's better than just being a trained dog. But
Yeah.
thoughtfulness is good, but if you add a real mindfulness, it creates depth.
Yes. But I would translate mindfulness into some kind of care for yourself and for the others.
Yeah.
If you really care, honestly, not only by formal, let's say, criteria, somebody told you to respect each other, but it's more about, I really care about your emotions. I care about my emotions. I care about also my personal space, your personal space, how I can help you to feel comfortable in any situation we talk about. The same about interaction with the cultures. It's true that I care about emotions of my Swedish partner, about not only emotions, feelings, perspectives, perceptions, because we might speak about the same things, but in a different concepts, right? And the first thing I always say to myself, what is like when I come to different culture and meet different person and he surprises me with something or she surprises me, I say, okay, so this is something familiar and accepted in this country. So for them it's familiar to shout loud, let's say, to be expressive, to be very emotional and direct and sometimes rude. That's accepted and that's familiar. I don't have rights to judge. I'm not in a position to judge. So, and that's about mindful communication as well. In general, like we talk to each other, I don't have rights to judge the way you speak, the way you think, the way you do things. There is someone else who decides, right? I can just care about you and me, that we help each other to interact with some kind of positive outcome, right? So that's about mindfulness in my perception. Mindfulness has become also, for me, a journey towards understanding myself better. And that's why when my coaching programs have, let's say, transformed from just consulting into more mindset shift. And that's why I see when I speak to a person, company wants to grow, first client comes and says, Julia, give me contacts. Yeah, that's the first thing. Give me contacts, give me clients. And I ask them, like, and why? Why do you need the client? What is the purpose behind the purpose? What is the vision behind the vision? What is like who you are? What do you feel? What are your values? And this is how transformation happens. Then you start talking to person, as human being, coming back to the beginning of our conversation, being authentic and true to yourself first. And everything starts with the mindset. And then I realized that growth mindset is exactly the concept, psychological concept that I need to discover more and more and explain this towards people, businesses, in any aspect of relationships or sales, marketing. It's all about seeing and accepting the world as it is, seeing opportunities there, and also seeing that you can always learn more. Like nothing is fixed. And same, I'm not fixed the way I am now. I can always improve. I can always learn something more. And it's great to empower each other for growth. Is it your client or yourself? And nothing is fixed. Everything is like moving, improving, changing. And in this environment where we are now, we just have to enjoy the process of changes, right? There are no certainties. There are no concrete steps anymore. Whatever we try to explain by, in order to succeed, you need to take step number 1, not step number 2 or 3. Now the world shows us that things can change so drastically, and your values, they are the only things that will make you stable. The way you are mindful, the way you are caring for yourself will make you strong in any situation. So that's what I would like to express.
I couldn't agree more. There's... Now it gets philosophical. The human beings, I think, are a composite of one aspect eternal and unchanging, and an organism that is subject to change all the time.
Yeah.
We're going through processes and accidents and all kinds of stuff. But there isn't an eternal aspect. And I think it's easy to discover. It's essentially the silent observer in you. You can see yourself thinking without becoming the thought. You can make choices to react or not to react to in certain situations, and build that space between stimulus and response where you can create your freedom, as Viktor Frankl says. You can increase that space to improve the quality of your response, so you don't respond like a billiard ball, like stupid, but you can actually get hit by something. It can move in all directions, and it's that response space that you build. And who is building it? That's the eternal part in you. And what I have noticed is that the more a person can rest in that eternal part, the more change the person can tolerate.
Yeah.
You can roughly... I try to take a metaphor, if you look into a washing machine, you see yellow and red socks, and it's kind of moving around. If you are outside the washing machine, you can tolerate that confusion. You can you see stuff. But imagine your head is in the washing machine. You just instantly want to switch it off. It's just such a mess. You cannot tolerate that change. And I think part of what I try to get across through different experiential trainings and facilitating certain experiential insights is to to make leaders understand that if you have change resistance, it's because you take people's head and throw it in, and because you do not talk to the real self. Maybe you talk to an ego, but the ego isn't the washing machine. You need to talk to the silent observer. You need to kind of put your hand on, kind of, I see you, the real you. And
Not your thoughts are making you, but
yeah. So it's just one aspect. I just noticed the more you see it in martial arts also, the person who's most resting in himself can handle any speed. Yeah, just it's no problem. Anybody who's not resting, not calm, not cool is kind of anything that happens. No.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
the time. So when you're okay, I'm done with this. I could talk forever, but it's really important.
Yeah. Do you meditate actually?
I'm not sitting cross-legged and something, but it's easy to get into that state.
Super.
I need an alarm clock to get out of it. No, it's relatively easy. So.
It's true.
And I don't need
Yeah.
mushrooms for that.
I love this topic of mindfulness, taking care of your thoughts, and that not thoughts are the ones that are dictating you, but you are dictating over your mind. That is really, really true. For me personally, meditation became like necessary tool for everything I need. I mean, just it's part of me now, because I clearly understood that my stability is me alone, my values, my focus. Because now the biggest problem of all the humanity, they have lost the focus. There are so many things happening around, so much of a distraction. You don't even know what you want. Simple answer to you get person on the street and ask what you really want in life. What is something that you really want? Not like thousands of social media posts are telling you what you want, but exactly you, what is important to you. And meditation is the way how you come back to yourself every time. I sit my 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20, 40, whatever. It can be hours and days even. Nature, that's what really makes me come back to reality. Nature is my reality, to be honest. It's this is where all big ideas and projects come. Basically, just sitting down, putting down yourself into grounding yourself and becoming who you are, just like a tree. And so you grow, you get just like a tree. So if you see me walking down in the park and making hugs with the tree, it's me. So this is Julija creating a new coaching program. And next podcast. That's amazing discussion, Thomas. I really love the way we turn complicated things into very simple things, because this is actually the paradox. Because the more let's say, the more intelligent is the person, the more simpler are the things that he's telling or she's telling. Because that's actually the secret of being, again, smart enough, intelligent enough, by telling things in simple words and simple concepts. I love this. I really love talking about complicated things in simple words.
There's a paradox in that too, by the way.
Yeah. Tell me.
When you know nothing about an area, things are simple.
But not deep.
Exactly, but we're really still stupid, And so the simplicity, if you know nothing, I would call it uninformed simplicity, and sometimes you get. But by the way, I totally agree to what you said. It just came to mind. So
Very good.
The simplicity when you're uninformed and when you have beginner's luck, and this kind of thing, is you usually create metaphors which kind of violate reality. They're just, if you look a little closer, they're just really stupid metaphors. It happens.
Yeah.
So then, if you dig into a topic, you notice, things are more complicated. Yeah. It's not that easy at all. And then there's a steep gradient towards complexity. But then the point is, if you go, you could go to complexity forever.
Yeah.
But if you want to use the topic for any kind of practical purposes, you need to get back to simplicity.
Yeah.
And then you find the simplicity, you find metaphors when you have gone through this complexity, you find metaphors which actually are a good summary of this complexity instead of just a metaphor which is, sounds good.
Yeah.
And chops reality and go half, Okay, I just want to
Yes.
tell this.
Don't make it complicated.
Yeah, maybe I made it complicated. Okay.
Yeah, super. Thank you so much. And I think we have touched upon the most important facts that, yes, communication is about trust, about empathy, about human beings, first of all. And in order to be mindful human being, you need to calm down, meditate, learn about yourself, about your values, where you are, where you want to be. What else you think is important?
For just
To summarize about effective communication, the topic of today.
don't get me started. But it's important.
What will be your takeaway for our audience?
How much time do we have? Is that all?
Yes.
Oh God. Did we talk an hour?
Yes.
Ask the question again. I got
Yes.
flustered.
Let's just summarize quickly. What do you think are those key takeaways we learned today, basically by just observing the things that, besides what I mentioned, human being, orientation on the values, being trusted partners to each other, caring about yourself, and being mindful? Then what else do you think are these key takeaways for leaders globally, if you talk about leadership in aspect?
Don't cut negative feedback loops.
Mm-hmm.
Assume good intention even if you get negative feedback to what you say.
Mm-hmm. Find positive in everything you hear. And
Assume good intention. Just assume,
yeah.
just by default, assume good intention. You might not always be right, but it's not the point. Assume good intention. It makes you smarter because it makes you look harder.
Yeah.
What is behind what the person is saying. That's number one. Listen for understanding, not for winning.
Mm-hmm. Don't judge.
Like the common, if you judge too early, then everything is lost immediately. Don't make what you think is better the enemy of good. It's a pity that they fight. Understand that better builds on good rather than having them fight.
Yeah.
Oh, this human is talking. I try to squeeze it together. Okay. I have a good metaphor. He tried to get across your message. Offer it like a glass of water.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure people can drink it. If they don't drink it, don't put out the fire hose and kind of and make them wet because they still didn't drink it. So don't get loud, don't get too overwhelming or something like that.
Be patient.
It doesn't mean you cannot have temperament. That's perfectly fine. But after all, like a communication is, it should arrive and it should actually sink in. It should shouldn't just make people wet. Or if you know another metaphor, like in basketball, when you make a pass, make that pass when you have people's attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they're popular, they will catch it. And if you both want to make a goal, they will catch it. If they don't pay attention, you just blah, because you want to say something, that basketball just hits them and it hurts.
Exactly.
It's the same ball. If they can catch it, they appreciate it. If it hits them, they hate it. So be attentive to the message sinking in rather than increasing the volume or the violence with what you say.
Yeah.
Because it breaks people and you lose so much resources, and it's impractical, and it's not nice, and it's ineffective. Especially it's ineffective, and it just creates cumulative resistance to your so-called leadership.
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Yeah, perfect. And of course, it sounds again easy, but in fact, it's real art. That what you're saying, when the ball reaches the goal, it's almost hitting, but you try to avoid it. That's the art. This is where basically all these wonderful secrets come in place, where we can help our clients.
In fact, you need to take this. These are just metaphors. You actually need to train it. So these are hard words. Oh, this works actually. Oh, this works. Oh, this works. You need to experience that. Otherwise, it's just kind of going. Yeah.
True. That's why my simple solution sometimes to such situations is to ask questions. Ask open-ended questions, give people opportunity to express themselves, make themselves real. And this is how you can avoid this level of, let's say, too high volume. It may become lower and lower, and you are controlling the situation, right? Not the ball is controlling, but you can decide where and how to affect the person's feelings and reactions. So be resistant to reactions as well by being focused. That's why asking questions is a wonderful thing, how to explore about each other. Yeah, so and from my side, I will try to invite everyone, learn about amazing techniques that Thomas is sharing in his coaching programs. And I'm sure he has a lot to share. And just give us brief summary, what is upcoming in your programs.
End of March, I will have an open course which is called Communication Essentials in Leadership. It will be in Riga. A small group, peer group, 6 people. On the 10th of February, an online course, actually free of charge, which is about thoughtful, ambitious executives and how to integrate their own purpose into their career planning, which doesn't seem to be, it's not easy, And in the long run, creates a lot of pain if you're off in the wrong direction, working against your own values and all that. And it's not that difficult. It's not easy, but it's not that difficult.
Yeah.
So there's a free course, 4 weeks, every Monday. People want to sign up and join. It will be hopefully several hundred people. So it's not like Bristol coaching, but it's just fun.
That's very good. Very good. Thank you so much. Use this opportunity for sure. And I personally invite you to grow your growth mindset, and become ready to enter in any market, in any region, with very mindful approach, understanding sales, communication, cultures, being also fulfilled as a personality. I will share all the wisdom I have, both from my experience in more than 60 markets, plus practical insights from my clients. And just come and join my next challenge, which just takes 3 days, and it consists of growth mindset shift. So you change your fixed mindset into growth to become global. In order to become open for new opportunities globally, you need to change the mindset first in your organization, in your culture, and then implement that in your sales, marketing, communication activities. And finally, I will give you all the secrets needed for you to end up with very productive relationships and partnerships across the world with effective communication skills. So welcome, and thank you so much, my beautiful guest. And let's stay in touch. Let's continue sharing the wisdom and helping the world to be a better place. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
See you in the other episodes.